Hey guys, what's up? Andre here again with a Marvel 1 to scale figure review. This time we've got the MMS225. It's Thor from the Dark World movie. It's the lightest Asgardian version. And yeah, before we go into the video review, two big shoutouts. One, and this is probably the biggest shoutout ever, it goes to Anthony Sang in Hong Kong. Thanks Anthony for shipping this figure to me over here to Switzerland. It took about maximal 3 days. We had a holiday in between, but man, that was quite a fast shipping. So Anthony, you may already heard of him in the Figure Talk by Clipper King this weekend. He's a local in Hong Kong and he totally understands what collectors need over here in Europe or also in the States, and he made quite a good price. So he goes out on the streets, searches the figure, hunt for the figure, and then comes back to you with a cool price. And yeah, I'm definitely pleased. He also did a great packaging of the figure, and so I'm totally happy. Thanks Anthony. I will definitely do business with you again. So, and the other big shout out goes to Clipper King. He did a great video review last night on both figures. So there's a variant, the regular version of Thor in the regular armor. And if you need the comparison of both figures, please go over to Clipper King's channel and check that video out. I got the largest Asgardian armor version because I was quite curious on the sleeveless arms. I never had an actual rubber body in one of my figures, so was very curious. So stay with me with this video review, and yeah, there will definitely be some surprises here. Stay tuned. First, we're covering this beautiful box here. There's a little difference to the regular one. It's actually this gold frame here. The whole box is quite deep. You also see this in Clipper King's video review. The regular one is not so deep, but in the end it looks a bit like a Thor's hammer. I'll show you just a quick bit of the inside. Inside you have a nice box art, this little covering sleeve here, and inside is a two leveled box with the figure, and underneath is of course the base and the dynamic stand. I wasn't actually aware of it, that there's a dynamic stand with it, but that's now clear because it's quite a heavy box. So let's continue with the figure itself. And here we go, Chris Hemsworth as Thor in For the Dark World. Actually the movie is called The Dark Kingdom in Germany. Again, I have no idea, it's like with the first, like with the latest Captain America movie where it's called The Return of the First Avenger, but anyways, so here's the secondary outfit with this poncho. I'll get back to the armor in detail when we're coming at this part of the video review. Let's continue down to the accessories because there isn't too much. Of course, you get Thor's hammer. I will cover that in detail later. Here are the different hand sculpts. You get some more open hands, then of course the hands for the hammer. Then you get these buckles here that is actually a replacement part if you have to remove the actual cape. There's these buckles on there that snap into the armor, and because the whole cape is fit quite snugly, and you definitely need a lot of pressure to remove it, it would be a good idea to add these little replacement buckets here. So in here, this is a little close-up of the cape. Clipper pointed out it's not that great and might be something for a little custom work. What I definitely like is this weathering effect going on the bottom of the cape. So this is only with the lightest Asgardian version. Just a little insert, I made a custom turntable here. Actually I bought this plastic one and I did a custom mirror here. It was quite a costly investment, but it looks extremely nice with this polished edges here. So now it's a high quality turntable because the one I bought from eBay was a plastic one. So this mirror turntable definitely has a bit more of a premium effect here. Now let's get back to the actual figure. I think we're going for the head sculpt first. Okay, so the head sculpt I'm definitely pleased with. It looks like the best Chris Hemsworth head sculpt in the past figures by Hot Toys. Also the hair is extremely well sculpted. You see these little bands there in the hair, and all is very nicely painted, especially like the detail on this front hair pieces there. It's all one piece, but they definitely capture the likeness of Chris Hemsworth here. There's a lot of details going on in the facial hair, and then of course is this little distinct look with the open mouth, and you can barely see the teeth in person. It might look a bit more obvious here on camera, but I mean, without the whole spotlight on the face, it looks extremely realistic. So it's about 95% of Chris Hemsworth, and a lot better than the Avengers One. I will give you a little comparison to the Avengers One in short. So I took off this poncho, this cloak here. It's basically just a throw up on the figure if you got the head sculpt off. And there you go. So this is the figure without the cloak. As you can see, nice details on the armor, the chest armor. I definitely like the new sculpt on the Dark World armor here. It's also very nicely painted. If you see some of the details here, it's definitely amazing. So this is just, I think it's a matte black here on the main part, but this shiny stuff here is extremely well sculpted and painted. Let's continue with some details here. As you can see, the thigh armor also extremely well painted. And then you have the forearm gauntlets. They're quite flexible, so definitely liking them too. And there's a little leathery piece on front of it. It's a bit movable, and underneath there's a little blue cloth. All very nicely tailored, as usual with Hot Toys. And here we've got a quick look at the back side. So also without the cape and without the cloak, this figure definitely rocks. If we're going down below, here's a quick look at the feet. Let's put a bit of light on it. All painted much black. Here's a little purple or shimmery part, and underneath these are two separate pieces. So you got a lot of nice movement there, and the boots are totally flexible. A lot of ankle articulation to have the figure stand up quite secure. I have to say it's a bit of a top-heavy figure, so you definitely have to balance it out a bit, but in the end you definitely get a cool pose with this Thor. So I put on the actual red cape, and you get a little tool to refit it on the top armor there, but in the end you won't need it. It goes quite well without it. So here's a little 360 on the cape. As you can see, here's some nice weathering going on. Also, it's folded extremely well. I'm definitely curious what is being set up from Tony Mai on this one. But in the end, I'm quite happy, and I won't bother getting a custom one here. So there's a little thing I want to point out. I don't know how accurate this part here is. I think it's a bit too high. So there's quite a gap between the actual cape piece and the shoulders. From a distance it won't show up negatively, but I think it's maybe a little nitpick here. So this wasn't Thor without the hammer, so have a little detailed look on the hammer piece. Again, it's all metal, I think, and definitely cool sculpted. Here's some close-up on the upper part of it. Definitely liking this one. Let's see how this compares to the Avengers One in the end. And now let's continue to the actual surprising stuff here. So have a look at these rubbery arms. I think it's the first time I have a rubbery arms, a sleeveless arm on a Hot Toys body, and I definitely was curious how this will turn out. If you want a comparison with the regular version, please head over again to the Clipper King, but I was totally blown away how much articulation in there is. So in the the actual manual, they told you not to raise it above 70 degrees, but I mean, this is a lot more than 70 degrees if you ask me. I mean, that's about 90. So there's a lot of variation in this shoulder joint. You can see it in there, it moves quite a distance, and so that was a nice surprise. Then of course the other major challenge with this kind of rubbery arms is the articulation of the underarm, and as you can see, you can bend it quite a distance as well. So that's about the most you can get out of it. You will see some detail there on what happens with the actual rubber, so don't keep it in that stance for a long time. I think for a short posing session, for a photo session, it's okay, but I wouldn't keep it that way too long. But this, I'm very surprised how this turned out, and that's definitely what I hope for with going for this figure. Okay, let's have a quick comparison to the Avengers 4. As you can see, quite a difference of course in the armor plates. Here's all silverish, and here we've got the new styled Dark World armor with this plating color, but the major difference is of course in the head sculpts, and as you can see, much more realistic on the Dark World 4. I mean it was okay for that time, and I definitely like it, and I'm still liking it, but here the likeness of Chris Hemsworth is a lot better. So if you just go for the head sculpts, definitely go for this one. I mean, the old figure is also quite articulated, and I think it's also a bit top heavy. The articulation in the legs is a bit loose. I think there must be some ratchet pieces in the legs, because figures both are quite top heavy, so there needs a bit of securement, besides of course the stand you have with the Hot Toys figures to have them securely stand up. So here we got a comparison of both hammers. So this is the Avengers One. As you can see, I think the sculpt is mostly the same with the actual hammer piece, but the main difference is on the handle here. It's a bit of another structure, and I think also the belt down here is a bit more carefully made, because with this one it just flew out there. It just was off right from the box, and here we got no problems. So quite nice pieces here. Also this looks exactly the same. Alright guys, here's the last pose for today with Thor hovering over the stone structure diorama base that you get with this variant of the figure. It's nicely painted, nicely structured and sculpted. Again with this little Thor nameplate here. What you don't get is the default stand. That would have been a nice throw-in for this variant, so if you want the default stand you have to go with the regular version. So yeah, I'm definitely surprised by the outcome of this figure. I never expected to get it, but after having seen the first in-hand pictures of Hong Kong guys over there, I thought, yeah, why not give it a try, and somehow the coincidence was that I met up with Anthony through Facebook, and he offered me a cool deal, and I didn't regret it. So if you go for one variant, and I think this is also the conclusion of other reviews, go for the lighter Asgardian version, because it has a lot more articulation possibilities, and I think that's the best addition if you already have the Thor's Avengers version. So thank you very much. Thanks again, Anthony, for your support and your service, and have a nice evening. Bye bye guys.